people don't even realize that they're not breathing to sustain their lives. So, yeah, I incorporate it quite regularly in just about everything that I do. Thank you.
That is really powerful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I would love for you all to know this wonderful voice that you also hear on the line this evening is the co-host, and he started us off at the beginning of the week and has been joining me, and he and I have been tag teaming all throughout, fellow Master Force Life Coach, his own business of Catalyst Coaching, Gregory Stanton. I'm so glad you're on the line, Greg. Glad to hear your voice in the plays.
Yes, I'm excited this evening also, being in the midst of this full moon energy and moving right towards the winter solstice. So I'm really excited tonight, especially the opportunity to dialogue with our very own Mu Shemsu-t. Moving right into the next question. Rita, are there specific things that you believe people need to be educated about that they are not being addressed in what we would call our traditional classroom at this time?
Yes, very good question. We've heard, and I believe that many of us can relate to this, we've heard just about all of our life, you need to know yourself. Now, what does knowing ourselves mean? How do you know yourself? It's not about what I like and what I don't like, but when you know yourself, you need to really know how are you aligned with the universe. How do you use the energy of the universe inside of the energy in your body that flows through you all day, every day? So the first thing that I think that we need to do, we need to look at the traditions, and I call it Kemetic sciences in the work that we do. When you look at the Kemetic sciences, one of the things that we start out with is having each child or each parent, everyone needs to know their natal chart. The natal chart, what was the astrology at the time and place of your birth? What is your sun? What is your moon? What is your ascension? Where is your Venus? Where is your Jupiter? So that you can really get a clear picture of what your child came into this life to do. Now, if you don't, then you would divide your children between, okay, you're a male, you should do this, you're a female, you should do that. Or at this age, you should do this, and this age, you should do that. Or you can't do that because you don't know enough. Well, if you look at the astrology, it will specifically tell you, along with your intuition, what your child came here to do. This way you can support them in growing into themselves, right? As compared to just the regular reward and punishment system that they're taught with the school or the educational program that we have going on now in this country. So the natal chart would be one of the first things that I would say that we need to know to support our children in knowing themselves. The second thing is I'm sorry. Did you
Before you move into can you give us, we know that you have raised some powerful children, not just your biological children, but a host of children that make up our community that I often see engaging with you. I'm amazed that every time we're together, there are always these young people that seem to levitate to you who already know you. How have you used that in the upbringing of your own children? Can you give us an example how that was instrumental?
Very good. It's very interesting because Master Force was actually started in relationship to my oldest son when he was 12. He's 35 now. So when he was 12, we began having regular meditation sessions in my home. We lived in Schaumburg at the time. And I remember wanting to make a difference with my son because he was very stressed out at school. He was going to a predominantly white school. He felt like the teachers were racist. He didn't like anybody. And so I began looking at what can I do to make a difference for him. So I knew that meditation would relieve some of the stress that he was experiencing. And what I also know is that if you're going to make a difference for your child, you need to also look at their peers, right? Because all the change that you want to make with your children, they're still going to hang out with their buddies. So I brought the friends along. I brought the friends in, and so the friends started meditating with us too. And then when the girls wanted to show up, then the parents started showing up. So after a while, we had a house full every Wednesday night, and we would listen to some of the concerns of the students, and then we would talk, and then we would meditate. So this went on for about 2 or 3 years. And when I saw that model with my oldest son, I actually had another son 17 years later, and I took that same model on with him. And we ended up taking a group of my youngest son, a group of us went to Egypt together inside of that same model. And that is, if you're going to make a difference for your child, also look and see who their peers are. How do you reach for their peers and include them in what you're doing? So now, of course, all of those young people, all of those people whose lives I've affected, they have children now, and so they're looking to see how do we address these same concerns. And, yeah, so young people are always coming around me. It's a good thing, though.
Knowing that and having that information, and as you were engaging your children's teachers, the educators who are responsible for delivering the lesson throughout the week, did you ever find conflict, or how did you engage them, or how they could use those techniques with the children in the larger classroom?
No, not really.
Okay.
I take that back. With my older son, no, because we were in a pretty rigid school system out in Schaumburg. Very, one of the more predominantly, highly academic schools, and they did really well academically. But one of the things that I have really stressed to young people is that what we're doing with Master Force is we're tapping into the right brain. The work that they do in school taps into the left brain. So when we bring the two together, we're igniting what I call the genius factor. So we don't want to throw away the curriculum that they're doing in regular school. We just want to add to it by teaching them how to meditate, teaching them how to solve problems with their imagination, how to create things using their visualization, how to really listen to challenges as an opportunity to grow and expand instead of be afraid of. And that's all inside of that right brain conversation. So it's really exciting. I call them young master geniuses because the young people now, they come here ready. They have the answers. Their whole DNA structure is very different from ours. We really don't have to teach them very much. We just have to keep them safe and keep them actually in a growing environment where they're fed, intellectually. We don't have to teach them so much. They know. That's my experience anyway. Did that answer your question, Greg?
Yes. I interrupted you there as you were making those points. Good. Great.
No, that's good.
Was there something more that you wanted to say about what you were already talking about, Rita?
I can't remember. I get so excited.
We started out talking about the natal, just knowing some things about their natal.
The natal. I was going to actually say the second thing that I actually think that we need to teach in the realm of education is nutrition. How do you use nutrition to nurture and sustain the body? Right now, a lot of us don't realize that our children are being fed junk food as though it's nourishment, and it's not. And so our young people, they don't know how grain, how proteins, how those things act in the body. They don't even realize the importance of rest. that when you go to sleep between the hours of 11 p.m. and 2 a.m., your body is healing naturally. You know, you're releasing the energy of melanin and HGH proteins and everything so that you are healing and repairing. Our young people aren't healing and repairing because they're staying up all night. You know, they don't know that they have to rest. That's part of the healing process. So being able to take care of yourself, this is one of those things that we need to teach. We need to teach. If we taught our children the healing arts even, you know, at a young age, we wouldn't be worried about whether everybody has health care or not, because the body heals itself if you put it in the proper condition. And people are challenged when I say that. Well, I want to tell you that I had my initiation into that when I was 17, and I broke my hip, thigh, and knee. And they said, oh, you probably won't be able to use that leg again. And I was actually introduced to a book called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. And inside of that book it said you can heal anything by changing the way that you think and how your imagination works. And I tell you now, I walk every place because I am so grateful. Here I am, you know, 40 years later, being able to use my legs as though nothing ever happened. So, of course, I took that knowledge and I shared it with my children. I shared with them the healing arts at a young age. I do Dr. Mom. I don't do the emergency rooms. I literally teach my children at a very young age how to use nutrition for healing and nurturing their bodies, because that is far more important than teaching them that something outside of them can take better care of them than their own body can. And we were gifted with this. This is what God gave us. This is how the universe is hooked up. It provides. The universe is progressive. You know, it moves us forward in life at a full, amazing, magical force. We just have to teach people how to master that.
Wow.
Okay?
That is really powerful, really powerful. I'm very grateful that you're sharing that, because when we touched on that just a little bit in last night's conversation, when we talked about, you know, coming around the table, et cetera, and what you are doing and the different points that you're making is that you're really proposing a total paradigm shift. I have heard you say some things such as looking at our children's destiny versus that punishment and reward paradigm. I've heard you say utilizing nutrition as opposed to junk food and helping our children to know the difference, and also to initiate our children, ourselves, into the healing arts so that they recognize that everything, the universe is providing every single thing that they need to heal, nourish, and move their body and their ideas and everything that they're here to do forward. That's really powerful, and I really wanted to say all of that again, and I might say it again later. That's exciting. That is really,
yes, it's
really
exciting. And that, to me, is what pure education is about. You want to know thyself. Everything else that they're learning in school, I promise you, we can learn on the Internet. You know, it's almost like these schools now are holding pens. They're not teaching our children. They're holding spaces or daycare centers where parents work, and it's really not a very healthy structure for our families because we don't get time to bond. We don't get time to love. Where are they teaching love? If love is the most powerful force on the universe, powerful force in the universe, then shouldn't we be taught about it? Shouldn't we be sharing about it and exploring it? Well, when do we get time? When do we get time? So that needs to be part of someone's curriculum as well.
How do you incorporate the early childhood centers in this whole process? Do you see there's a place, an integral part for them to play in this educational role?
Oh yes, oh yes. I work with the Watu schools, and one of the things that I share with the parents there, and some of the children come in as young as 2 years old, is that we can start teaching children to meditate as early as 18 months. And the idea about meditation is not just meditation, but it's teaching them how to find still